Hey everybody, what is going on? This is Anthony with the VR Game Rankings YouTube channel, and of course you guys are tuned in to our daily vlog series. It is the start of a brand new week. We are still in the month of February, but we are really late in the month of February, and we are actually going to hit March later this week. So we are moving along farther and farther into the first quarter of 2018. This is episode 106. It is Monday, February 26, and I have a number of different news stories to get into. But before we start the news stories, I just wanted to cover one topic real quick before we move forward. And the first topic I want to get into is speculation. Okay, so I tend to read the comments for these different episodes. I don't necessarily read all of the comments every single day religiously, but every once in a while, I try to look through the comments and get kind of a gist of what is going on. Now, I don't want to focus too much on these comments because what happens is if you take too much of the negative comments and base your whole show around what a couple people are complaining about, that's not a good idea. And if you take the people that are praising you to the high heavens and you think, you're just doing wonderfully, that isn't a good idea either. So it's almost a good idea to kind of not focus on the comments too much. But I do look at the comments, I pay attention to them. And one of the things that I've noticed is a number of people can get very upset with the amount of speculation that goes on in these episodes. The conjecture, the speculation, the rumors. Maybe you could even call it fear mongering and just kind of maybe pushing people's buttons a little bit. And so I wanted to just address this real quickly. The first thing I want to say is, so we are a daily VR news and discussion program. That is the goal of this show. The goal of this show is we're interested in the VR gaming world, and we want to try to provide you guys with VR gaming news and discussion Monday through Friday. That is the goal of this show. And I will say that this show is firmly in the entertainment category. This is an entertainment program. This is not like a real serious hardcore news show. This is not ABC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. Okay, this is a little bit closer to Inside Edition or Extra. I'm basically Mario Lopez here. I mean, I kind of look like the guy. Not really, but you know what I'm saying here. But basically, this is an entertainment program. This is not hardcore serious. This is not life and death. This is fun. This is about fun. And when it comes to speculation, when it comes to rumors, when it comes to maybe even pushing the buttons of various fanboys, yes, I'm going to do that. And why am I going to do that? I'm going to do that because it's just a more entertaining program, I think. As long as you don't take everything too seriously and you just kind of enjoy the show for what it is, I think it's a pretty decent program. And so basically what I'm trying to get at here is if the speculation and if the conjecture and if the rumors and the innuendo and if all of that really bothers you, this probably is not the show for you because it's not going to stop. This is an entertainment related program. Now, I'm going to try to kick the facts to the best of my ability, but I want to try to do it in kind of a fun and joyful way. And every once in a while, is there going to be some doom and gloom? And am I going to kind of almost celebrate that doom and gloom? Sure I am. It just makes it for more of an exciting program. I mean, that is the way entertainment works a lot of times. So I just wanted to comment on that whole speculation thing. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get into the actual show. And it's funny, speaking of speculation, why don't we start it off with a little bit of speculation, right? So here's a great example of it. So the HTC Vive Pro. You guys remember when the HTC Vive Pro was first announced, we heard that the HTC Vive Pro is coming in the first quarter of 2018. Well, the last time I looked at the calendar, it is late in the month of February. Like I said at the top of this show, we are going to enter March later this week. The first quarter, the last time I checked, is January, February, and March. So if the HTC Vive Pro is actually coming in the first quarter, then it would have to arrive in the month of March, yet we don't have pre-orders. We don't have a price. We don't have a release date. So it's starting to look a little bit shaky. So actually at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, Spain, which is underway right now. HTC is there. They're showing off a number of new things at the Mobile World Congress related to the HTC Vive. And this one guy got a video. He's there, obviously, taking video of this and had an interview with an HTC Vive representative. And he was asking the guy, kind of pressing the guy about this subject that I'm on right now. Like, what is the deal with the HTC Vive Pro? I thought it was first quarter. We're running out of first quarter here. When is this thing going to come? Is this a second quarter product? Is it a third quarter product? Is it a fourth quarter product? He kind of presses this HTC Vive spokesperson, and I'll go ahead and run that clip right now. So go ahead and run that clip.
And when is the Pro going to be coming to the market?
The Pro will be coming to the market shortly. We're announcing price and availability in the coming weeks.
In Q2? Is it coming to the market at Q2 or Q3 or Q4?
We hope to be in the first half of this year.
First half of this year. And you have no idea about price, or it's the same price and the other one will be cheaper?
We aren't announcing anything.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, basically watching that clip there, I mean, obviously this is an HTC Vive representative, not necessarily somebody really high up the food chain on HTC, so we can't really take this guy's word as gospel. And he kind of danced around it a little bit, and he said, in the coming weeks, we hope to announce release date and price, and, hopefully soon we'll be announcing that. But yeah, we are running out of the first quarter, and he did say first half of 2018. So it's very possible that we might want to start looking at the HTC Vive Pro as an early second quarter product. I personally believe they're probably going to miss the first quarter of 2018 unless they decide to have no pre-orders whatsoever and just have the product immediately available, which I kind of doubt that, because pre-orders is great for building up hype. It's great for building excitement. The day when pre-orders are announced, that's a major news story. All the news outlets are going to cover it. All the major websites are going to cover it. And it's just free publicity. So I would imagine they would do pre-orders. And so I'm thinking the HTC Vive Pro is probably an early second quarter product. So honestly, I don't know that I would expect this product prior to April or maybe even May of this year. So that is the HTC Vive Pro. And, speaking of the Mobile World Congress and speaking of this information, like new things that are being shown off at the Mobile World Congress that is going on right now in Barcelona, Spain, Vive Trackers 2.0 have been shown off at the Mobile World Congress. And so obviously we've had these Vive Trackers. They've kind of been made available, although not in a way, not in the normal kind of way that something like this would be made available. But you can technically buy yourself the Vive Tracker 1.0. But we've always wondered, with these new base stations coming, what about compatibility? Because if you buy a current Vive tracker, they are compatible with the lighthouses that we have now. But if you end up buying a new lighthouse, if you end up getting the 2.0 lighthouses, these original Vive trackers won't work with that. So what HTC is showing off, they are showing off the Vive Trackers 2.0. In fact, a sports training and rehab company that is at Mobile World Congress, Hiepa Sports, not sure if I'm pronouncing, I don't know if it's Hiepa Sports. They are a sports training and rehab company, and they are showing off these Vive Trackers 2.0 at the Mobile World Congress. In fact, they're showing a soccer simulation. Now, this is more designed for like high-end football clubs in Europe, in England, and in Europe, like real deal professional football clubs that will use this for training. In the United States, we have a lot of football companies. American football. We have college football teams, professional football teams that are using VR to help quarterbacks train for different situations and other positions train for situations. And this is starting to get integrated into professional sports. Professional sports are starting to use virtual reality, and this company is more focused on soccer, being obviously based in Europe, and they're showing trackers. They're showing where they have trackers, 2 trackers on each of your, they have a tracker on each of your shoes, and then they also have a tracker on each of your shin guards on your legs. So a total of 4 trackers being able to track you while you're playing a soccer simulation. And this is using the brand new Vive 2.0 trackers. And one of the advantages of this, in fact, Adam Dickinson, who is the development director at Mihiepa Sports, says that the expanded range of Steam Tracking 2.0 is a big deal. It makes the platform more useful for professional soccer clubs, because you have to remember, if you get Lighthouse's 2.0, they have the capability, if you have 4 of them, they have the capability of tracking a 10 meter by 10 meter play space, which does help them out in terms of using it for professional soccer teams, professional football clubs, and that sort of thing. So we have seen Vive Trackers 2.0 at Barcelona. When they will actually hit the retail market, that is up for debate. Obviously, with the actual 2.0 Lighthouses not currently being available at this time, there isn't a pressing need to get these new ones out there right away. But I'm guessing as soon as stock runs out on the original Vive Tracker, we'll probably see Vive Tracker 2.0 taking the place. Now, what else has been demonstrated at Mobile World Congress in relation to the HTC Vive Pro and to HTC Vive in general? Well, they are showing the HTC Vive Pro with the HTC Vive wireless adapter. If we go back to the Consumer Electronics Show earlier this year, where they introduced the HTC Vive Pro, and they also introduced the HTC Vive wireless adapter, which is basically being made by Intel for the most part, but has HTC's branding on it. It was displayed at CES with original Vives. It was not being shown off with the HTC Vive Pro. And so some people were wondering, well, HTC Vive Pro has a higher resolution. It requires more bandwidth. Will these HTC Vive wireless trackers, will they work fine with the HTC Vive Pro? So here at the Mobile World Congress, Barcelona, they are showing off the HTC Vive Pro, and they're showing it in combination with the HTC Vive wireless adapter. In fact, they have this hot air balloon VR demo that they're putting everybody in. In fact, Ben Lang from Road to VR, he got the hot air balloon treatment. He got some hands-on time with the HTC Vive Pro at Mobile World Congress, and he was able to try out the HTC Vive wireless adapter in conjunction with this. Now, what he said about it, he said that he did notice some added latency, but that it was relatively minimal, and that it was minimal enough that typical users may not spot it or may not notice a slightly increased latency, but he apparently did notice a slight increase. So there is a bit of a concern there. And basically he said that, he did try this hot air balloon demo that they had there, that they were putting different people in. They put people into an actual hot air balloon basket and kind of had them holding onto the poles and using a lever which would release the heat to make the balloon rise or lower. And they kind of had people in this experience. And he said because that demo is not conducive to really testing latency. There's not a lot of quick motions when you're in a hot air balloon demo. You're not being attacked by zombies where you quickly need to move in this direction or that direction. So it wasn't the best stress test to try to figure out if there was latency. But basically he said he didn't notice any obvious issues with visual quality or frame rate. So hopefully there won't be too much of an issue when using the HTC Vive Pro with the HTC Vive wireless adapter. So all of that is going on at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, Spain. And this is going on this entire week. I don't know how many days this is going to last, but there could be additional information that could come out from this. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out about the pre-orders for HTC Vive Pro much sooner than we thought. So, that could possibly happen in the coming days at Mobile World Congress as well. Not sure how long it actually lasts there. Okay, so the next story I want to go into, and this will be our final story of the day, I wanted to talk about Weta Gameshop. Okay, so this goes back to a Rolling Stone article and a Glixel article, which is part of Rolling Stone. And then there were also articles that were on VentureBeat and a number of other websites. And what this is all going back to is that Weta Workshop, which is the special effects company in New Zealand, they were responsible for like Lord of the Rings, District 9, Chappie. They've done a lot of special effects work. And one of the best special effects studios out there. Well, they've created their own game studio. It's called Weta Gameshop. Or Weta Gameworks. I'm sorry, it's called Weta Gameworks. And this studio has basically been operating in a corner of Weta. Now I'm all confused, of Weta Workshop. They've been operating in a little corner of their entire facility for the last 5 to 6 years. They've been working on a mixed reality game. Now, this has actually been in conjunction with Magic Leap. Now, you guys may have remembered one of the oldest videos of Magic Leap that was kind of giving us a taste of what Magic Leap is going to look like and what it's going to feel like is Dr. Groardbort's Invaders, which is a game that is going to be coming to the Magic Leap platform. And Weta has actually been working on this game for the last 5 to 6 years in collaboration with Magic Leap. And so there's an article on Rolling Stone that kind of breaks this down, and VentureBeat actually has a pretty good article as well, where it is an interview with Greg Broadmoor and Haley Gray of Weta Gameworks. They both work for Weta Gameworks. They were involved in the interview. And then Andy Lanning, who is, let me see here, Andy Lanning is the creative director at Magic Leap Studios. He was also interviewed along with Greg Broadmoor and Haley Gray. And so they were kind of talking about how all of this came about and how Weta Gameworks got connected with Magic Leap and how this relationship started. And Haley Gray was talking about how Sir Richard Taylor, who is the creative director of Weta Workshop, he met with Roni Abovitz as far back as 2009, before Magic Leap even existed. He met with Roni Abovitz. And so they've kind of had this relationship brewing. And then once Magic Leap was up and running, Ronnie Abovitz met again with the people at Weta, and they kind of worked out a partnership where they're going to have some involvement together. In fact, Sir Richard Taylor, the creative director at Weta Workshop, he actually sits on the board of directors of Magic Leap. He sits on the board of directors. He sits right next to Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google. Now, I'm not saying that they actually sit right next to each other, but man, if you could only be a fly on the wall for their next board meeting, they got a lot of powerful people that are sitting on the board of directors for Magic Leap. But basically, Weta Workshop has been in bed with Magic Leap for the last 5 to 6 years, and they've been working on this singular game experience, Dr. Groardbort's Invaders. And they've been working on this game for 5 to 6 years. Now, you might think, wow, this is even worse than Valve. You know, Valve has been working on these secret VR games for a number of years, and these guys have been working on this for 5 to 6 years. What's taking so long? Well, part of the deal here is they've kind of been working in collaboration in a similar way to, say, Nintendo, when Nintendo was creating the Nintendo 64 platform, and they were also creating Super Mario 64. It's kind of a situation where way back in the mid 90s, when Nintendo was working on the Nintendo 64, they were also developing Super Mario 64 at the same time. And so Miyamoto would be working on Super Mario 64, and he would decide, you know what, we really need this or we really need that. And he would go tell the people at Nintendo that are designing the actual Nintendo 64 platform, we need to be able to do this, we need to be able to do that. And so it's kind of this back and forth collaboration where the software and the hardware are being developed simultaneously, and they are basically influencing each other back and forth. Much in the same way, actually, Gabe Newell kind of talked about this same sort of thing when he was in that interview, and he was talking about the 3 secret Valve VR games. He was talking about how they're working on these games in conjunction with working on the Knuckles controllers. And it's kind of a back and forth thing. They work on the Knuckles controllers. They're working on these 3 secret games. They might find out something when they're working on the 3 secret games that they decide, you know what, we need to change a certain part of the Knuckles controller so that it'll work better for these games. Well, that's kind of what they've been doing with Magic Leap and Dr. Gordbort's Invaders. This is going to be a key game, a key entertainment title for them. In fact, I fully expect that every single person that purchases a Magic Leap 1 headset will probably get this software included for free. It'll probably be a pack-in software title in the same way that everybody that bought an Oculus Rift got Lucky's Tale, or when everybody bought an HTC Vive originally, they got Fantastic Contraption. It's going to be a pack-in. It's going to be an included piece of software. And in this interview where they talk to Greg Broadmoor and Haley Gray, they talk about the fact that, yeah, this is a key software title, and that what we're doing with this game is we're trying to show all the other developers out there the way forward. We're trying to give them a template that they can work with. So they have to make sure that this game shows off everything that Magic Leap is capable of, and kind of gives developers a blueprint for how to move forward with their own game experiences. And one of the more interesting quotes in the entire interview is Greg Broadmoor was talking about that very first video, that Magic Leap video that did show off footage of Dr. Gordbort's Invaders, and he said that what you saw in that video, that's basically the game. That is the game. What you saw is the game. Now, he said there has been some changes over the years. They've been working on this for 5 to 6 years now. There has been some changes, but what you basically saw was the actual game. And then there's another Magic Leap demo where it's this little character with like a top hat, and he's kind of hiding underneath a table. Well, apparently that character is actually part of this game. That character is part of Dr. Gordbort's Invaders. And in fact, that character is actually being voiced by, let me see if I can find it here. Man, I don't know. It's Reese. Man, I don't have his name. I can't find it here. But that character, Reese Darby. Reese Darby is going to provide the voice of this character. And he's going to kind of be like a comedic sidekick as you're going through the game, kind of accompanying you and explaining things as you go through the game and you battle these invaders that come into your own world. And Haley Gray and Greg Broadmoor, they were talking about how you're playing these games in your own house. These games are taking place in your own house, and so portals open in your wall. These aliens come into your own house, and when you're playing the game, you see your own surroundings around you, the surroundings that you're incredibly familiar with, but now you see like aliens and robots and stuff that are interacting within your environment, and it just makes it this really magical experience. So basically, we do have a very specific Magic Leap software title to look for. It is Dr. Groorbort's Invaders and expect it. They talked about how this title will be releasing in 2018. It'll be releasing right alongside with Magic Leap 1 Creators Edition, and I fully expect it to be a pack-in title. So basically, guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's show. This, of course, has been episode 106 of the daily vlog series for Monday, February 26. I really hope my audio is okay. I've gone through a lot of issues with the audio, a lot of technical difficulties and stuff, but hopefully things are back to normal and hopefully my audio is up to par. I won't know for a couple of hours from now when I'm actually going through the editing process, but we'll have to see what happens. But anyways, I will see everybody tomorrow on Tuesday, so have a wonderful Monday. See you guys tomorrow. Later.